Nigerian government has requested that the Canadian court withdraws its ruling that clarifies the APC and PDP as a terrorist organization. How would they want, what do they call them, Canada to look into this matter when they prescribe IPOB as a terrorist organization? Behind the back door, overnight, nobody, even the Martin Namdekan or other IPOB lawyers are not even confirmed or consulted before they did that. But let me just tell you what is happening in case you don't know. This is supposed to be a private, but Canada have made it to be a public debate, and so we key into that. The problem Nigerian government and Canada is having is because of Biafra, but some people don't know. Some people are not aware. Even most of us here with the first-hand information, when we come out and tell my people here on YouTube, either Facebook or TikTok, X, sometimes they call us names. They say it's a propaganda. Where is the confirmation? My brother, let me just clarify you. Canada is about to ditch Nigeria for the sake of Biafrans, and they have been looking for a way to achieve that. So the only loophole they found now to ditch Nigeria for Biafra, because they know that there is more to benefit from having a bilateral business agreement with Biafrans than with Nigeria. This issue started since that Amaka Somboga's issue. You understand? Previously, what I call it, Canada have been a kind of seen Nigeria as a country of a particular concern, but despite the fact that the US have never designated them. So when that issue of Amaka and Yorubas leaked, or rather exposed, they were waiting for the next so-called Nedicom boss to intervene as somebody who is working for Nigeria. But no, she did not intervene as somebody who is working for Nigeria. She intervened as a Yorubalist, as a Yorubasta that she is. So she had to defend the interests of Yoruba bones. When that issue happened, do you know that she wrote a letter to High Commission Canada in Abuja, and also sent a direct letter to Canada, in Canada itself. So let me just put it that way. A response was given to her. So that response, she refused to disclose. She refused to disclose it before the public. They asked her, if you care for these people, or rather Nigerians in diaspora, which is that is you are their boss, why is it you are taking side with your own people? Because there is a series of issues which have been reported to us, them the Canada, about what is happening in other countries. But simply because they are not Yorubas, you turn their back on them. Why? She couldn't respond to that. She couldn't also make that letter public. But we got informed of this letter by, let me put it this way, investigative journalists. Or you can as well call them hackers. Are you hearing me now? So when you give you information here pertaining Canada, Nigeria, or every other country in this our struggle, my brother, do not doubt it. There is nothing. I will gain nothing by coming here to lie to you simply because I want to get your view. Mban, we don't work that way. We cannot progress. Despite the fact that if there's anything that got to do with propaganda, it is when we are dealing with Nigerian government. But now we are talking about Canada, who have already have 100% siding with the Biafrans. Get that into your head, my people. So if you get this message, help me, do me a favor. Please share, like, and comment. So Nigerian government have vowed that they are ready to go to war with Canada if they do not revise the so-called what do you call it, terrorists that they tag APC and PDP. And you know, Nigeria don't even have one single rocket launcher. But the only thing that made them always come out to brag, even when they brag with Biafra, is because of UK. They don't know that UK is their allies. Canada also have their own allies. Canada and US, they are like junior brother and senior brother. I beg you, let us read the news. Please help me to circulate it so that everybody got to understand what they go on. The federal government of Nigeria has strongly condemned a ruling by a Canadian federal high court which designated certain Nigerian political parties as terrorist organizations. Canada traded with caution. If not, Nigeria is supposed to be in that place where they put APC and PDP. But you're supposed to know that APC and PDP can be also be recognized, or rather referred to as the owners of Nigeria. In a statement issued on Friday, August 15, 2025 by Kimi Ebi Imomotimi Ebiamfa, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Abuja, the government described the decision as baseless, reckless, and an unacceptable interference in Nigeria's internal affairs. The federal government of Nigeria expressed deep concerns over the recent ruling by a Canadian federal court that erroneously designates certain political parties in Nigeria as terrorist organizations. The statement explained that the ruling was linked to a case involving a Nigerian citizen, Mr. Douglas Egweriba, who arrived in Canada in September of 2017 and applied for inland refugee status under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act of Canada. This baseless clarification is not only reckless but also constitutes an unacceptable interference in Nigeria's internal affairs and democratic process. According to the government, the Canadian court went beyond individual allegations and made sweeping accusations against an entire political party that has produced 3 democratically elected presidents. Democratically elected, you say? The court made a sweeping accusation against the entire membership of a political party that has produced 3 democratically elected presidents instead of focusing on an individual found wanting. The larger ramification of the decision is that every member of the mentioned political parties is a potential terrorist, and that is completely false and unacceptable. The government maintained that Nigeria's political system operates under a robust legal and constitutional framework with parties functioning lawfully within a vibrant democracy. Nigeria is a sovereign nation with a robust legal and constitutional framework governing political activities. Our political parties operate within the ambit of the law and are integral to the country's vibrant democracy. To associate legitimate political entities with terrorism without credible evidence is a grave misrepresentation that undermines Nigeria's democratic institutions and could incite unnecessary tension. Look at what they say here, my brothers. He say to associate legitimate political entities with terrorism without credible evidence. Let me ask Nigerian government and their stupid courts, or the ones who is writing this nonsense. When you disgrade Biafra or prescribe Biafra, IPOB as a terrorist organization, how far? Where is your evidence? If not till today, it has been challenged. Where is your evidence? You could not provide. So now, it depends on her. Calling for the immediate withdrawal of the ruling, the statement urged Canada to engage Nigerian authorities through diplomatic channels to address the matter. The federal government of Nigeria therefore calls on the Canadian authorities to immediately retract this erroneous designation and refrain from actions that could misconstruct and endorsing politically motivated narratives against Nigeria. Diplomatic channels remain open for constructive dialogue, and we urge the government of Canada to engage with the relevant Nigerian institutions to rectify this error. The government reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to combating terrorism and warned against the misuse of asylum claims to malign the country. Nigeria remains committed to the global fight against terrorism and has made significant strides in countering extremist groups within its borders. Therefore, called on the international community to disregard this misguided ruling and reaffirm its confidence in Nigeria's democratic governance and rule of law. Nigeria may be no more if care is not taken before 2027. The government further urges Nigerian nationals to refrain from making unfounded allegations against Nigeria under the pretext of seeking asylum or favors from foreign entities. Sahara Reporters earlier reported that in a landmark decision that cast a damning spotlight on Nigeria's political landscape, the Federal Court of Canada upheld a ruling declaring both the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and All Poverty Congress (APC) to be engaged in conduct amounting to terrorism and subversion of democratic institutions. The judgment delivered on June 17, 2025 by Justice Fong TV Ngo dismissed the asylum application of Douglas Egweriba, a Nigerian national and admitted PDP member, on the grounds that his party membership alone was sufficient to make him inadmissible to Canada under paragraph 34 subsection 1F of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. The court endorsed the Immigration Appeal Division's detailed findings that both the PDP and APC have engaged in political violence, voter intimidation, ballot stuffing, and even murder to gain and maintain power, according to a court document obtained by People's Gazette. The PDP and APC are Nigeria's two dominant political parties, and they are now a terrorist organization. Make una go hit on a head on the wall. So it depends on Abi. Wow. It is now obvious. As in you my mother it depends on I say they designate common party, then you designate a whole region. Call them what do they call it? Prescribed IPOB. Anyway, let's take one more news before we round up this show. According to My Voice Was Ignored, our sister Comfort Emerson don't come out to share her own details about the harassment on Ibom Airline. A passenger on Akwa Ibom owned airline Ibom Air, Mrs. Comfort Emerson, has narrated how she was allegedly harassed and intimidated on a flight from Uyo to Lagos. Nigeria News recalls that Emerson was on August 10 removed from a flight from Lagos to Uyo after allegedly refusing to turn off her phone as instructed by crew members. The situation escalated when she became physically aggressive, struck a flight attendant, and had to be restrained and escorted off the aircraft at Murtala Muhammed International Airport. Following that, Ibom Air imposed a lifetime ban on her, while she was also arraigned and remanded in Kirikiri Correctional Center. However, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Akpamu, disclosed on Wednesday that the government had directed the withdrawal of criminal complaints against Emerson. She was subsequently released from Kirikiri prison after all charges against her was withdrawn from the court. Talking to Facebook on Friday, Emerson said she had no intention of being unruly on the flight, adding that she was insulted by the air hostess. She lamented that she was dragged like a criminal after the incident degenerated. Her post read, "I boarded the flight peacefully like every other passenger, with no intention of disturbing anyone. I took my seat and waited for takeoff. While we were still on the ground, the cabin crew started the normal safety checks, and that was when I was asked to switch off my phone. I politely explained that my phone had a faulty power button, and because of that, I normally let the battery run down or use airplane mode instead. I also told the air hostess that if she could assist me, I would gladly hand over the phone for her to switch it off herself." She said the first air hostess who spoke to her was polite and understanding, adding that the second flight attendant spoke in a disrespectful manner and tone. The female passenger said, she said, "I don't have time for your excuses, just switch it off." I calmly tried to explain again, but she cut me short and said, "If you don't want trouble, you had better obey." At that point, Some passengers sitting close to me even intervened, and one of them helped me to switch the phone off completely. Even after the phone was switched off, the same air hostess continued looking at me in every aggressive way, almost as if she wanted a fight. I kept quiet because I didn't want any trouble. She said I didn't raise my voice and I didn't abuse or threaten any staff. Even the air hostess, who treated me harshly, never came to apologize. She just kept watching me from afar. When we landed, everybody began to disembark. I waited for others to go first. As I was stepping out, that same hostess confronted me again and started saying things like, "You think you can threaten people here and go free? Wait, we will show you." At that moment, I felt intimidated and embarrassed in front of other passengers. I asked her, "Madam, what exactly did I do to you?" Instead of answering, she raised her hand as if she wanted to touch me again. I instinctively defended myself and told her not to harass me. Before I knew what was happening, they had already called security and labeled me as an unruly passenger. I begged them to at least watch the videos on the passengers' phones so they could know the truth. Nobody listened. I was dragged off the aircraft like a common criminal. I still begging them to hear me out. At the airport police station, one of the managers from Akwa Ibom Air arrived and presented a completely different story, claiming that I assaulted her staff and threatened the safety of the flight. I immediately denied this and asked again for them to watch the videos, but my voice was ignored. Instead, I was moved straight to detention and eventually taken to Kirikiri, even though I kept insisting I was innocent. Everything I went through started from a faulty phone power button and the air hostess who chooses to abuse her authority instead of simply helping a passenger. I have forgiven everyone involved, but I felt it was important to finally share the truth of what happened because a lot of people still don't know from my own side of the story. I have forgiven everyone. To everyone who stood up for me when I couldn't speak. To everyone who prayed and fought for me, my freedom. Thank God, and may God bless you all. This is the message I brought to my people at this point in time. Okay, let's call it a day. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.